Hey, there you go. Cool. Hi, Amanda. Let's see. JP, what's up? Is that going to be. Hope the lighting's okay. Amanda, can you hear me in this? I want to make sure the audio's going good. Cool. Thanks, James. This is cool. Never done this before. Hey, what's up, Kevin? So obviously give it some time before people show up. So how do I see who's in the page? Yeah, I have too many of well putts. Mats are great though. My living room's now the lab. It's official. James, look, you can see. Let's see, I gotta do this opposite. Where do you think I got that from, James? Yeah, well put's great. JP, shoot me a text. I'll just send you one. I have an extra, so I'll send you one. How about that? You and James might fight for it, but JP, I'll yeah, text me later, JP. I'll get you your well putt max. I have extra. What's up, Bill? How's it going? So we're just gonna wait 5 minutes so I can get everybody coming in. Anytime, JP. Oh, by the way, you'll appreciate this, JP. Still got my still got my coasters, dude. Still got my coasters. Hi, Kelly. Everything's opposite on this, so I gotta like figure it out. Oh, so I'm gonna be lefty on here. All right, I think at least it looks like I'm gonna be lefty. So you guys are gonna see my swing all lefty. It looks like. I don't know. Oh boy. Guess who just showed up? Hello, Caitlin. Let's see, 302. And wait a couple more minutes. Oh, another cool thing. Oh, what do we got here? Hey, I'm telling you, lefty swings look better. They just look better for some reason. I don't know why, but they just do. They got some style and some flow to it. Looks like Russell just joined. My teammate. That's why I got to speak in lead and trail side instead of left and right, because I'll confuse myself. Oh yeah, come on! You know I got to put my Met PJ Hope socks on today. I even wore different socks earlier today, and I moved to these earlier or later. I do look righty. All right, cool. All right, so we'll give a couple more minutes. Russell, what's up? All right. I'm gonna mess this up. All right. Got 3 or 4, so we'll wait another minute or so. I don't know how many people are here. I can't really tell. I don't want to press any buttons to ruin anything. So great to see you. Great to hear from you, Russ. Our secret weapon in our foursome, or in our fivesome, or scramble. Our secret weapon. Now 13 on here. Okay, cool. So it looks like a good start. All right. So first time doing this Facebook Live, so bear with me a little bit. But if you don't know who I am, my name is Nick Iacono. I'm currently the Director of Player Development. Whoops, let me turn this off. I'm currently the Director of Player Development at Chester Valley Golf Club in Malvern, Pennsylvania. I received a new job this year and unfortunately moved away from, I call my intermediate family, over in the metropolitan section. But thought I would help out by giving everybody a little instructional video on some putting, chipping, full swing, and you can have some questions to where you can ask during or at the end or whatever it is. I'm going to have Amanda texting me throughout the session, so I'm going to look at your questions one by one, and we're kind of just going to go from there. But first, I want to throw a couple shout outs to all the Met PJ staff. Everybody, Kelly, Caitlin, Amanda, JP, James, everybody that's been involved with the Met PJ Hope program. I really appreciate everything that you do. And being I'm in Philly doesn't mean I'm going to stop with the Hope program. There's a Philly PGA Hope program that I'm going to be a part of throughout this year and many more years to come. So a couple quick things before I get started. PGA Hope Hangouts every Sunday at 7:30. I just went to the last one on Sunday. It's a blast. You get to talk to a lot of cool people, ask some great questions, share some ideas of what you can do to pass the time. Reading books. Me, I like to chip ping pong balls in my living room to my kitchen. Anything that you can do to pass the time. And it's just a great way to check on your buddy. And during this time, we're going to be alone for the most part, quarantine ourselves because we're trying to make sure that no one else gets sick or no one else deals with the COVID-19. So please check on your buddy, and you can always feel free to shoot me a text if you'd like to talk. I'm always here for you guys. The first thing I want to do before I get started with my instructional routine is that I like to do my 22 push-ups. If you're not sure what 22 push-ups mean, it means every day 22 veterans kill themselves through mental issues or whatever can cause them to feel sad, all that kind of stuff. So I'm going to do my 22 push-ups for all those guys there. And please yell at me if my form is bad, okay? All right, there you go. So, see any... All right, so I really want to start about a warm-up routine because I feel like that's super important, and many golfers neglect doing those type of things. I hear many, many times, well, I really didn't start playing till like the 6th hole. Well, duh, because you didn't stretch the right way, you didn't warm up the way you should, so you're already pressing yourself to hit good shots on the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, or whatever the holes you start out with. So what I want to see is some good stretches. Now, even if you can't make it to the first, or can't make it to the drives or for the first tee, that's quite all right. I'd rather you get a good stretch in and get some putting and chipping in before you get to that first tee. And the reason is that you want to at least develop some touch before you get to the first tee. I'd rather you not hit a driver because all you're doing is swing as hard as you can and trying to hit it as far as you can. And when it comes to the full swing, you can warm up with a good stretch, but you really got to develop some touch and some feel before you go out and you play. So I'd recommend you get a good stretch and you putt and you chip and then head to the first tee. But I just want to share my routine first, what I like to do to get ready for a tournament. I first go through a good stretch, and I have a couple stretches that I do that I think are really important. I really try to activate, my legs and my upper body, and including my shoulders because I have bad shoulders, so it's really tough for me to get myself warmed up. I got tight lats and impingements in my shoulders. So we'll start kind of from the ground up. I'm just going to get a club to help me balance. And guys out there with balance issues, feel free to use a club. As long as you're stretching the muscle, doesn't really matter to me. So first thing I like to do is just kind of get the quads and the hamstrings and the calves and the glutes going. So I do 1 rep, 20 seconds each leg, and then I just go from there. So the first one I do is just a nice hamstring and calf stretch. Pretty much what you're going to do is you're going to keep one of your legs straight, and you get the other one, and you're going to make that straight as well. And you're going to make sure the toe is really pushing high in the air. And then all I'm really going to do is just going to sit back. It's almost going to be like a hip hinge. You're trying to push your butt back and bring your chest forward. And you're going to feel a nice stretch in your hamstring there. And if you want to double with the calf, feel free to pull the calf up a little bit. That's always going to help. If you have a tough time bending down, this golf club has many uses other than just hitting a golf ball. You can put it underneath your foot and press your foot and actually lift up. And when you have shoes on, it's a lot easier to grip, so you can get a good stretch out of it. So that's a great calf and hamstring stretch. When it comes to the quads, very simple one. All I'm going to do is just grab my leg, cross it over, and just pull. That gets the quads going. Lazy legs before you go and tee off is not a good idea. You got to get your legs going, get them moving, get them activated, because that's your only connection with the ground. And if you want to have a nice, stable golf swing, you got to make sure these things are activated. So that's my quad. The glute's a little tough. You can do this sitting down. Actually, let me get a chair too. Because again, a lot of this stuff, you need a great deal of balance. And if you don't, it's kind of tough. So a good one is you sit down, you're going to cross your leg. I'll do it actually from this angle. Sit down, you cross your leg, and all you're going to do is just put your hand underneath your foot and your other hand underneath your knee to stabilize it. And all you're going to do is just keep the structure with your legs and just lean forward with the chest. That's going to get a great stretch of your glute, get it to activate. Because really what happens is when your glutes don't work, your hamstrings are going to do double time. So you want to make sure that your most powerful muscles that you use, or most stable muscles you use in the golf swing, your glutes and your core are getting activated as much as you can. Let's see. So let's talk about the upper body. So that's pretty simple, of a pretty quick stretch that I do. Also, if you have tight hips, I do recommend this one as well. It's just called leg kicks. Pretty much you just hold the club right here, and I go forward and back, and I'll do it from this angle. And the most important thing about when you do any of these type of leg kicks, you don't want your body to add bend and lose bend while you do it. You want to really keep your posture. And I don't care how high you get it. If you can kick yourself in the head, go for it. Great. You got great mobility and flexibility. But I want the quality of it, not the quantity, if that makes sense. So keeping your leg or keeping your upper body straight, you're just going to rock your shoulders back and forth. You can see that I'm really keeping my upper body as upright as I can. And then you can do the other leg back and forth, and then you can also do it this way. Same thing. You put it in front of you, but now you're working on opening the hips up a little bit. You're gonna swing your legs back and forth to left and right. And this is a little tougher, but again, make sure you're keeping your posture. And when I'm doing this, you're actually gonna see that I'm opening my foot up when I take it back, and then I'm closing my foot when I take it through. That just helps you loosen that hip joint up a little bit so when you go on the golf course. Someone said, all right, cool, we're good. So now, let's talk about a little bit of putting. So if there's any questions on stretches or anything like that, I'll move on. But let's just talk about some putting. So very, very simple things that I'd like to see when I putt. We're going to keep it pretty generic or, pretty vanilla when I talk about setup and stuff like that. Not going to get too crazy about it. But generally speaking, get the ball in there. Cool. Generally speaking, like the ball to be in the middle of your stance. And if you're not sure what middle is, the easiest thing to do is set up with your feet together and take one little step with the left and one little step with the right. That's going to assure you that your ball position is pretty middle of your stance, okay? Now the lower body. The lower body, you really don't want to have too much movement, okay? The more that I move my lower body, the more that this club's going to take it inside and around too much. And we don't want to have it arcing too much inside and back around. So we want to keep our lower body stable. Really, the engine of your putting stroke is really going to be your upper body and your hands and your arms, okay? So ball in the middle of your stance, feet shoulder width apart, and we're going to keep our lower body stable. A great drill. If you're trying to keep your lower body stable, by the way, if you don't know, I have a good stick. One of my friends has this company, the magnetic on the top, really cool. But go ahead and if you're giving it a try, they're only like $20 and you can customize it yourself as well. But if you're having a hard time with your hips moving a lot, easy way to do this is just put a alignment stick in your belt loops. And what you're going to do, you're just going to hit putts. And all you want to see is that this dowel is not moving back and forth. Really simple. But just think to yourself, don't worry about how you hit it. Just think, all right, keep the dowel from moving back and forth when you putt. Very simple drill to keep the lower body from moving too much. So let's talk about how we actually approach the golf ball with our setup. Because I see a lot of times, a lot of golfers take a setup to where it's really affecting the golf swing. And really when it comes to any type of, full swing chipping putting or anything like that. Let's see. Good question, Kev. Is the putter face or path stroke more important? So the putter face, in my opinion, is way more important. It has about 83% of a determinant of where that ball is going to start. So just like when it comes to your other clubs, face is important. Face is king. Now, sometimes your path is so off to where your face is trying to get back to it, but generally speaking, you really want to make sure that your face, your putter face is in good control and your path kind of will come with it anyway. Because typically when I see guys that have an open face or a closed face, their path gets modified because of that club face. So great question, Kev. So let's just talk about how we get a good setup. So get your lower body in the correct position, knees slightly bent, feet shoulder width apart. Now this is a very simple way to do this. You're going to have your putter, and you're going to have it parallel to the ground, okay? Now what I want you to do is I want you to stretch your arms all the way out. Now from there, what I want you to do is bring your arms all the way in. And then from there, what I want you to do is find something different. Find something in between. My instructor, John Dunnigan, really good guy. He always said the best teacher is Goldilocks. Not too hot, not too cold, just right. So you want your arms to be slightly bent when you take your setup. Now from here, very simple. After you get your arm bent and the club's parallel to the ground, all you're going to do is just bend at the waist. You're not going to sit, because I see that a lot. You're just going to bend at the waist and keep your arm structure as long as you can. And then from there, all you're going to do is set the putter on the ground, okay? And that's just a very, very easy way to get your setup. So I'll do it one more time from the face on. Feet shoulder width apart, knees slightly bent. I got my arm bent to be not too straight, but not too bent, but just in between. And then from there, I'm just going to bend at the waist. And then from there, just drop the putter. Really, really easy way to get your setup. Every time I've done this with a student, they get it first try. Not usually an issue. The stick definitely can help you putt straight. I'm going to show you how it can actually make you putt straight, but I'm actually going to use two. And you don't really need a stick. You can use 2 golf clubs. But I like to use this my dowels because I have them. Anything that's a little thinner or a little lighter is really going to be less awkward for you to use. So I call this chopsticks. Really simple. You got 2 big chopsticks here. Then all you're going to do is put both of them in your armpits. Now again, we want to make sure that we're using our upper body and our shoulders and our arms rather than using our lower body. So this is a great drill, simple drill, to help you build a feel of how you use your body. Make sure I might not miss anybody. All right, cool. So what you're going to do is you're going to get it in your armpits. And what you're going to do, you're just going to cross it. And at the very bottom, you can scoot up as much as you like. And scoot it up based on how straight your arms are, obviously. And then from here, what you're going to do is just going to get your setup. And keep the sticks in your armpits. And you're just going to rock your shoulders back and forth. Okay? That just shows you what should be moving and what shouldn't be moving when you hit a putt, okay? And then what you do is you kind of go back and forth. I don't want any of my students to be really dependent on a training aid because the more dependency you show, the tougher it is for you to get weaned off of that. And then from there, the tougher it is for you to trust yourself. So what you do is you kind of use I call it the chopsticks for a little bit. And then you hit a couple putts. I can back up a little bit. And then all you're trying to do is get that feel. Again, this is really important. You're not trying to hit a perfect putt. Because every time you try to hit a perfect putt, you're going to get too cautious about how you're hitting it and where it's going. You just try to make the best stroke possible. Get your alignment, get your speed through your practice swings, and then from there, hit your putt and just be confident about it, okay? So I'll do that one more time. And I like to go kind of back and forth a little bit. So I'll put my putter down here for a sec. Again, what I'll do is I'll go back and forth a couple times, just getting my feel of rocking my shoulders. Again, you don't have to think too crazy about it. Just keep the chopsticks or the dowels underneath your armpit and just rock your shoulders back and forth. And then from there, you got your putter. And then you just hit a couple putts, getting that feel of rocking your shoulders, okay? And then what you do, for speed control, oh, and by the way, I was thinking this during the Hope Hangout. Anytime you get a new carpet, guys or gals, make sure you can putt on it. It's a very, very important thing to go with the feng shui of your house. Make sure you get a carpet you can putt and also chip on it. Why not? Okay? It's a good thing I have my well putt mat here. It'll be a lot easier for me. What we got here? John, what's up, John? Hope all is well within the family. Great question. He said, do you try and keep your elbows close to your body? Yes and no. So when I putt, and I see a lot of really good putters do this, especially Ricky Fowler. I love watching his putting show, probably one of the best putters on tour. Now, you're not going to lock your elbows into your side, which we'll kind of talk about that when we talk about pitching and chipping because it's a good drill for you to do. I like them lightly resting on your rib cage, okay? Because if you can keep the structure of your elbows and rock your shoulders back and forth and kind of feel like your elbows are lightly resting on your rib cage, your putter is going to actually putt a lot more on plane, and you can control your putter a lot easier on the way back and way through. It's a great question, John. But I do sometimes see this. When I see a lot of space here, that's definitely not a thing I'd like to see. I also see when we're really close, and what happens is the elbows get pushed more outside of your body. Kind of look like you're doing the chicken dance when you're putting. I see a lot of this sometimes. You want to be able to have them resting close to your rib cage and not kind of bow it out here. I see that way too often. The guys kind of putt like this. And they're trying to control it, but it's just very, very difficult to do that. Great question, John. Make sure I don't got any questions here. Okay, cool. So what I want to do is talk about one more drill when it comes to club face control, because Kevin asked that. He must have read my lesson plan. So a very simple drill, and what I do is I got some quarters here, and you can use tees. It doesn't matter, but I got a stack of quarters here. Okay, dimes, nickels, whatever you want, silver dollars, buffalo pennies, whatever it is, pesos, whatever you got, not a big deal. So what you're going to do is that you're going to put your ball about, say, 6 to 7 inches behind, depending on the length of your putt. And what you're going to do is you're going to put your ball on the ground, and you're going to get 2 stacks of quarters here, and you're going to put it a golf ball spaced away from each other, maybe a little bit further. The closer you put it together, the harder it is. And I'll try to, there you go. I'll do it from this angle, actually. It'll be a little easier. So what you're going to do is, again, put your stack of quarters, put it in front of your golf ball, and then a great way to actually measure how far the quarters are away, just put the ball in between the quarters and get your spacing from there. That's just going to really help you get a good idea of how narrow the gate is. And then just make sure you're lined up straight with your hole. And very simple, all you're going to do is you can use the feel here with the chopsticks first and then move to here. You can actually combine the two together. It's not a big deal. All you're trying to do is get yourself to hit that ball to where you don't hit the corners. You can do this on left to right putts, right to left putts, uphill, downhill. You can do it on a lot of different types of putts. That's the cool thing about this drill. And when we get outside, you can just use tees and kind of stick them in the ground. It's a really easy way to do it. I thought I got a question. How often and how long should a player practice putting weekly? So great question, Kevin. How often should someone practice their putting? I mean, it's kind of funny. So I very rarely practice my putting. I do it probably a day or two before a tournament, just because I have a great feel for my putting, but really should practice it depending on how good or bad are you at it. I always tell students, don't practice the stuff that you're good at, practice the stuff that you have trouble with. Because when you make the practice a little bit more difficult, the course is not going to seem as difficult. So for a general rule of thumb, every time you practice, I would like you to finish with your putting and putt for at least 30 minutes. But have a purpose when you do that. I always go to my students and I ask you, what are you working on? He's like, oh, I'm just putting. And I'm like, well, what are you working on? He's like, well, I'm putting. I'm like, well, you're working on speed, you're working on face control, you're working on the length of your swing, you're working on tempo. There's a lot of things that are really important that you need to practice. And if you don't have something that's, good for you, it's going to be very difficult. So practice with a purpose. And when you do that, your time doesn't have to be, that long. A lot of people don't have the time to practice. So you got to make that practice very worthwhile when it comes to what you're doing. So great question. Let's see. From Carl, how far back do you draw your putter before you hit the ball? Great question. Who was that? Carl. So Carl, that's a great question. It's all feel, because many different golfers have different tempos. You can have a guy that hits a 20-footer like this, and you have a guy that hits a 20-footer like this. So really, Carl, to answer your question, I would first go by your tempo. If you have a faster tempo, you don't have to take the putter back as far. but you have a slower tempo, then you have to gauge your backswing and make it a little bit farther. So a great way just to do that is you kind of go to like a 10-footer and you hit a putt back and forth, and you kind of notice how far you're taking the putter back, and just see where your ball's going to go. If it goes too far, too short, just adjust the length of your backswing. But always start with your tempo and then build from there, because a good tempo is going to do really good things in your putting stroke. Hope that answers your question there, Carl. All right, so I think there's no other questions of putting, so I'm just gonna do chipping real quick, okay? And if you have any questions on putting on the way back through, just feel free to shoot them out. I'll let you know. Okay, so chipping. So the cool thing about chipping is I like to relate it as much to putting as I can. Let's see, everybody here, cool. So chipping and pitching. I always get people always get confused on what is what. So a chip shot is a short shot around the green to where you really don't have to hit the ball high in the air, or you don't need a lot of loft. So really, when you're chipping, you're hitting like a pitching wedge, or maybe a 9-iron, 8-iron, 7-iron. I know guys that chip with 3 irons all the time. And a pitch shot is just a shot where you have to hit it higher in the air. Okay. Oh, I got a question here. That's a quick answer. So Paul, I think, what's going on, Paul? How you doing? When it comes to the follow through, I like to keep it pretty even. You're not really going to have a short backswing and a long follow through, or a long backswing and a short follow through, because that's really going to affect how you accelerate and decelerate in the putting stroke. A lot of times I see guys with really short backswings and they accelerate too much and they have a really long follow through. So really just try to keep it as even as you possibly can for kind of like a base of your putting stroke. Okay, cool. All right, so let's talk about just chipping real quick. So setup-wise, chip shots, you're going to have it right off your back foot. Feet are very close together. The wider you are, the tougher you're going to have control of actually bottoming out and hitting the ground, okay? So feet together, your weight of your pressures on your front foot. And a really important thing when it comes to your upper body, where your chest is relative to the golf ball. And you guys, you can think of your chest, okay? You can think of your chest as where you're going to hit the ground. So if I have my chest behind the golf ball, and I'm going to just let this club hang down, you're going to see that I have a potential to hit behind it. If I have it way far in front and I'm leaning over too much, I can have an opportunity to hit it too far in front. Again, Goldilocks, always remember that. But if you have your chest slightly in front of where that ball is, that's really going to help you hit ball, then grass first. Let's see. All right, cool. Cool. All right. So I'm actually going to scoot this back a little bit. There you go. Sorry, well putt. So when it comes to the motion, and this is great for chipping and pitching, I call this the T-Rex drill. I didn't invent it, saw a lot of other guys use it, but it really helped in my game. So remember how I told you want your arms not really close together. Well, you can do this for this drill, because just like putting, I want your chip shots to be kind of dominant with really your upper body. So there's some cases where you have to use your lower body, but that's really for a few selected people. But really a good drill for you to do is to feel how your body should be moving, is that you get your arms really close together. You call them the T-Rex drill. T-Rex has little arms. And what you're doing is you're going to keep your elbows to your side and just feel how your body moves back and through. And you can see actually when I take this back, that club is getting right on plane to where my hands are lined up with my club. If not, the club's slightly outside my hands when you chip and you pitch. So bring the T-Rex in, rock back and forth. That's a great feel to help you understand what's moving and what shouldn't be moving. Oh, got a lot of questions here. Let's see. How do you gauge the speed of the greens before a round on the practice green? Great question. So gauging the speed, what I like to do is I start with some short putts, but I don't even putt to a hole. And the reason why is I see guys that work on their putting and they ram the ball in on the practice greens, hits the back of the cup and goes in. But I guarantee if there's no hole there, that ball is going to go 5-10 feet by. So what I actually use, I use a flat, a ball mark or a quarter, a dime, whatever it is. And I start with short putts, 3-footers. And this is the key thing. And I found really good success when I did this, when I putted well for my tournament. I started with a straight 3-footer, and then I went to a straight flat 3-footer, and then I found an uphill one, then a downhill, then a right to left, and then a left to right. So I kind of putted all around the clock, so to speak. And then I moved to a 8-footer, did the same thing. Then I moved to a 15-footer, did the same thing, and then a 20-footer. And that was a great way for me to gauge my speed. And I really use only like 1 or 2 golf balls. You don't need a lot of them. But, working on uphill and downhill putts, left to right and right to left from different distances, that really builds a great feel for how you gauge your speed. So let's see. I've got a couple more. Nice round, Anthony, 83. Hell yeah, good job. Let's see. How can I keep the ball on the green when I bump and run 20 yards out? It's usually not. All right, so John, the only time I'd really like to see you bump and run a shot from a long distance out is that if you have no green in front of you or with like a false front. But 9 times out of 10, when you hit it really low and from really far out, it can be sometimes tough to gauge the bounces that the golf ball is going to have. Because especially when you're playing like a course like Bethpage and it can get wet and the grass a little long, you're not really going to get the bounce, or sometimes you get a funky kick and it kicks too far forward. So I recommend maybe taking more of a lofted club and having the same type of motion, so that way you can hit it higher in the air, get the ball to land softer, so that way it doesn't roll off the green. Sometimes when you just hit it too low, it's tough to stop it because it's just going to keep rolling out. But really, if I had to recommend somebody, if I'm going low or high, I'd rather you go low. But, it's always good to practice the high shots as well. All right, so I wanted to do a really quick at-home drill or a visual of what you can do to understand what happens when you lean the club too far forward or lean it too far back. So all you're going to need is some tape, preferably some duct tape and a tee. So really simple. I actually have one of my teaching tools, and not many people have one. It's just this magnetic thing that tells you, just when you turn the face left and right, when you lean it, all that kind of stuff, it shows you exactly what it does to the face. But many of you don't have that. So a really cool thing you can do, get some tape, really easy. Get about the size of the club face. I rip out 2 and I have my duct tape here. And yes, you always need duct tape for multiple reasons. And then I'm going to put the 2 pieces of tape on top of each other. Then all I'm going to do is I'm going to put the tee dead through the middle of it. Oops. And what you're going to do is you're going to have your own little tool to see what happens to the face when you chip when you chip. So you can see here, I just taped the tee on there, but you're going to see it does the same thing as my tool that I have. If you close the face, it points more to the left. If you open the face, it points more to the right. So this is a great little thing that you can do at home to show you where your club face is at all times. And I highly recommend that too, because as Kevin asked me, and I repeated, club face is king, okay? Oh, I got a question. How hard to hit the golf ball when you putt? Okay. Cool. So a very simple drill. Again, it's all relative depending on your tempo. So what I do is I'm actually going to show you. I'm going to put a ball on the ground here, but I'm going to pretend that's the hole. Okay. Now what I'd like to see is that your ball go 12 to 16 inches past the cup, because that means you're in the friendship circle, and hopefully your friends are going to give you that putt. Just kidding, but no, seriously, friends, give your putts 12 inches. Come on. You're going to put the stick just 12 inches behind the ball. Behind the cup. And then what you're going to do is you're going to hit putts. So your goal is to get the ball past the hole, but not far enough to where it's going to hit the stick. And I'll actually change the angle a little bit so you can see more this way. There you go. So if this is the hole right here, you can hit any type of length putts. You hit a putt, you want the ball to either go in the hole or end up to where it's in between the hole and the stick. If you hit it too hard, it's going to go over the stick. If you hit it too short, you're going to go for the hole. So you want to give the ball a chance to go in the hole, but you don't want to hit it too hard to where if it hit the hole, it wasn't going to go in. So a great way to kind of figure out how hard you need to hit it. I'm glad you liked that, Kev. I was bored yesterday and I thought of that tape idea. That's what you do when you're in quarantine. Thanks, Paul. I'm glad you like it too. And by the way, so when you do that tape drill or the tape in the tee, again, when you're in quarantine, try to figure out ways to teach and all that kind of good stuff. I know Kevin, I'm going to call you out. He has like 20-foot long tees. That's an exaggeration, but he plays with like 6-inch long tees. So the longer the tee is, the more feedback you can get to like where your face is going to be. If it's just really short, sometimes you don't get a great idea. But if you have mine, see how long this is. It's probably a good foot. You just get a really good idea of where everything's going because it's just a bigger pitch. Just like if I'm teaching someone club face control, I use a tennis racket sometimes because big tennis racket gives you a great idea of what your club face is doing. All right. So when it comes to chipping, this is just one in pitching. This is a really good thing that I like to talk about, especially guys that can't get the ball in the air, that chunk it a lot, all that kind of stuff. So I just want to talk about, and if you got any questions about this, but this is really important for you guys, especially the guys that graduated through the HOPE program, that I want you to start elevating your knowledge of what the club does, because that's really important. Now, I want you to swing your swing, but I want you to be able to know what happens to the club face when you do stuff with the club. Hi, Mom. So you're going to see that this tool here is going to show you what happens to the loft when I add or get rid of shaft lean. And shaft lean is just simply when you lean the club back and through. So guys, if you're hitting a short chip shot and you don't want it to go high, don't lean the shaft behind the golf ball. Because you can see when you actually lean the shaft more away from where you're going, that's going to make the face point more towards the sky, which means you have the potential to hit it higher. But it also means, and I see this a lot, that you have a chance to not hit the ground a lot. So because what happens is when you actually get rid of lean on the club, you're actually going to be hitting up on the ball more. So if you have a hard time hitting the ground at all, first I would check to see where your shaft lean is when you hit the ball. If you hit it, I'll back up a little bit. If you hit it and the club is leaning this way, chances are your club is traveling more up or up to you, and you're going to be hitting or using this part of the club, which is called the leading edge. So it's really, really important to understand that shaft lean not only can add loft to the club, but it's also going to have an effect on how much you hit the ground, okay? Now, if we talked in opposites, so if I added lean, which for the beginners out there, very, very good thing to do at first, but then a lot of times I see they add too much lean, and that's a good way to talk about what happens. But if you have too much lean, that's going to get the face to point more down, which means it's going to de-loft it, or the ball is going to go lower. And if leaning the shaft behind the ball made you hit it higher, but also didn't allow you to hit the ground, that means this is going to make you hit the ground more and make you hit it lower. So you need to hit the ground a lot, and you need to hit it low, just like any full swing shot too. If you're trying to hit underneath the tree, I want you to set up with some forward shaft lean. That's going to help the ball go lower all face. Okay, so really good. There's always red sauce. I got red sauce in my freezer right now. Thanks, Cheryl. What's up, John? How's it going? Okay. Any questions when it comes to kind of chipping? Okay, really none. All right, so let's see. I think we're good on that. Okay, so one thing real quick I want to talk about for you guys is just grips, okay? And again, if you don't get it at first, it's not feel free to shoot me an email or call. I can really help you out with understanding what your grip does with your club face. So, Fred, what's up, man? Miss you, man. Hope everything's going well, that you're safe. So, we're going to talk top hand and bottom hand, okay? And this is really important because the majority of guys that I've seen, especially playing in Secretary's Cup and playing in just, PO days and all that kind of stuff, is that thanks. I gotta see somehow, right? You got a question? Would you be able to explain why a hybrid has a tendency to hook? I used to hit mine great, but now it took it. All right, so that's a great question. So hybrids. And then I actually had this problem too when it comes to why I hooked my hybrid, or I tend to hook the kind of longish clubs. So when you have a club that's longer, okay, and you don't adjust the lie angle. So the lie angle is just how this club soles on the ground. Obviously that'd be upright, flat, or I'm sorry, upright, flat, whatever it is. So when you have a longer club and the lie's not adjusted, what happens is that longer club is going to make the shaft lean up. It's going to flatten it a little bit. Okay? So when you flatten the club a little bit, or flatten the plane that it's on, and this lie angle didn't adjust, and this is why it's a good thing to use that tape and that tee to understand what not only shaft lean does to the club, or does to the ball, and what also leaning the shaft up and down does as well. So when you have a long club and you don't adjust the lie angle is going to go more upright. So if you have a more upright club and you hit a good shot from inside out path, that ball's going to hook more. Because your lie angle that's upright, it has a really big determinant of where that ball's going to go, and it's going to go left. So that's why it's really important for all your lie angles to be great, especially in your lower clubs. But that was my personal experience with a hybrid, but also a longer club. Again, a longer club gets this shaft to lay flatter, and if you have a flatter plane, you can tendency to bring that club more to the inside, okay? All right, Sweeney, I hope you're listening, okay? But I really, again, the hybrid and the upright lie, I see that a lot. That's why I actually got rid of my hybrid and I got an iron. Frank Abatino, Wedge Father, shout out, thank you for the club, I appreciate it. But longer clubs tend to, if you can't adjust the lie angle, it's going to get more upright and you're going to tend to hook the ball a lot. So that's a great reason why. All right, so real quick on the grip, because I know we got a good amount of questions here, and wow, it's already 3:44. So we'll talk about my top hand first. Really simple. If you grab the club and you see a lot of knuckles on your top hand, that's called a strong grip. That means a strong grip means you have more of a chance to close that club face in your golf swing, or has more of a chance for your club face to shut, okay? So if you're a guy that hooks the ball a lot, what I would do is I would check your grip, maybe see less knuckles. And vice versa, if you see less knuckles that on the top hand, that makes that club face have a chance to open more, okay? Got a question here? All right, grip pressure. So it's kind of funny because I had a thought about this a long time ago, and then doing some research, I have another thought now. So grip pressure. So feel and real are two different things, okay? When you have a grip pressure that's too tight or too weak, it can have a factor on your golf swing. But really, I always hear the saying, you should hold a club like you have a baby bird. I kind of don't believe that, because you're swinging this club 80, 90, 100 miles per hour. If you held it like a baby bird, that club is going flying out of your hands. So you might not feel like you want to grip, tongue grip it, but you want to have enough grip pressure to where you're not letting go of the club. Because some guys that have a really loose grip pressure, they're actually lose the club in their hands, and the club face can get in all different kinds of spots. So I like to have a feel of maybe like a 3 or a 4, but in reality, because you'll see you're wearing your grip down, you're actually closer to like a 10, because you don't want that club to fly out of your hands. A great question, though. Cool. All right, so let's talk about just the bottom hand too, because the bottom hand has a determinant of where that ball is going to go as well. even though the top hand, in my opinion, has more of a factor of your club face positioning, I like to talk about the bottom hand too. So we're going to talk about our V here. So the V is between my thumb and my index finger. So the more that your V points to the arm that your hand is, you're going to have the club face have a potential to shut more. So V pointing to the same shoulder of the hand you're using, that means that club has a chance to shut more. Now, this is what I see a lot. I don't recommend it for you guys that come over the top a lot, set up a lot like this with the arm really straight. I see this a lot. Shoulders open, hand too far on top, and arm really extended too much. Is that when this V is pointing too much towards the opposite shoulder, that's going to have the club not shut too much. It's going to get it more open. So you're going to see more knuckles on the left hand, gets to the close, less knuckles open. And then when it comes to the V on the opposite hand, the bottom hand, if the V is pointing to the same shoulder, that's going to get the club face to shut more. And if the V is pointing towards the opposite shoulder, which I don't recommend, it has a chance to get the club face to stay open. Great question. Does a fat putter grip help? Will it help with certain tendencies? Okay, so this is a big, this was probably the marketing thing of the century when it comes to grips, in my opinion. A bigger grip can do a couple things, and really it's to your own detriment. The bigger you grip you put on a putter, the more you lose feel with the club face. You don't really feel where you're hitting the ball too much. And I just experimented with myself. Isn't it absolute? No, but that's what I feel it does. Grip size is just based on the size of your hands. That's it. You know, Super Stroke has 1.0, 3.0, 2.0, 5.0, the fat soap, all that kind of stuff. Just like a grip on your iron or your driver, it's just based on your hand size, not based on tendencies. Now, the shape of the grip, like Justin Rose, fat cat, because he has a nice, he has a pen grip, he kind of has to claw a little bit. That can definitely have a bearing for certain tendencies, like how you hold the club. But the size of the grip, no. Just get it based on your hand size, not on anything else, okay? Oh, gotta check my text. Hold on. And yes, I am plugged in the power. Got to make sure I did that. Let's see. Can you talk about? Okay, the best place to aim when putting. So the best place to aim is based on your club face and your club pack tendencies. So a great way to figure this out is that you can line up to a hole. Let me get my putter. Oops, okay. So if you're a guy that has a lot of face rotation and you open and close the face, you know, or you're a guy that kind of tries to keep it as square as you can, there's a lot of different ways. You know, some might not be the best, but some work to your advantage. But knowing where to aim is really important. And that's going to be based on how you actually see your line. Because this is another myth. Again, it's great as a generality, but it's not something that I'm fond of. And this is where, all right, you want to keep your eyes directly over the golf ball. Now, if we all have the same eyes, strength, weakness, you know, astigmatism, Fred, shout out glasses guys. If we have the same weakness or same eyesight, then yeah, we all have the same eye position, but we don't. So here's a great way to know where you should aim when you putt. So what you're going to do is you're going to get, and I'm going to use this roll of duct tape as like the hole. So you're going to put it out here. So what you're going to do, and I think you can see the ball, I'll scoot it up a little bit. So you're going to get the ball, you're going to line it up with the hole, and what you're going to do is you're going to get an alignment stick, and you're going to aim it, and you're going to aim it right at the center of where you're looking, or your intended target. So now, based on that, what you're going to set up over the ball. Now, when you look up and you tilt your head, you should see that alignment stick point to the center of where you're looking at. So, like, you know, get something circular so it kind of replicates a hole a little bit. So, I'll give you a little tip how far away you should be. But if you're really close, the stick is going to look like it's going to point more to the left, okay? And if you're too far away, that stick will look going to point too far to the right. So what you can do is you can figure out how far you stand away from the ball. And what I do is I use the width of my putter head to figure it out. So I'm a 2.5 guy, so I use from the inside 1, 2.5. So that shows me exactly how far I should stand away from the ball. And then from there, you're building your eye line to know exactly where you're aiming. So that's a great way to figure out where you should aim when you putt. I got you, John. Any help with the putting, I got you. All right. Any other questions right now? Let's see. Make sure I didn't miss any. Let's see. Oh, I'm going out a little bit. I don't know why. All right. Yeah, I'll give you one more quick drill, and if you don't have any questions after that, I can help you out, or I can cut it out. So I just gave this drill to my membership when it comes to making sure your club is on plane in the backswing. Again, very simple, guys. I don't want you to overthink about this. I just want you to work your feels and use the feedback that they get you to be in a better position. So what you're going to do, you're going to get a club and put on the ground. And again, because I see a lot of guys that get the club sucked in too early, get the arms away from the body of the club, or vice versa. I see this a lot when the hands get out and the club gets in. And easy way to do this is that you're going to put a club on the ground, and you're going to set up just inside, okay? And just make sure that your feet are parallel to this club. And what you're going to do is you use a line stick or club, and you're going to grab it. You're going to grab it with your grip and make sure it's under your lead armpit, okay? And very simple, really simple drill you're going to do. When you take this club back and when it's parallel to the ground, you want to make sure that this alignment stick or club is resting on your lead thigh. So I'll do it this way. You can see it's resting on your lead thigh, okay? Now, just to get the club in the good position at the top, it's really simple again. All you're going to do is after you get to this position, you're just trying to point this alignment stick that you have, your club, pointing towards the club on the ground as long as you can in the backswing. And that's going to get you in a good position at the top of your swing tour. When you make your downswing, you're going to be a lot more on plane. So, quick little drill that you can do to get your club more on plane in the backswing. Let's see. Let's see if I got any more questions. Cool, let's see. Let's see. I know there's a delay, so if you have any questions, I'm sure Amanda will text me. But let's see. All right, we'll do one more quick thing, okay? And if you have a watch and a rubber band and a card, a great way to work on your club face positioning at the top. So we'll talk about if you have a neutral. Oh, cool. Thanks, Kelly. So real quick, I'm going to go over this really quick. And if you have questions about it, just shoot me an email. I can always talk to you about it. So if you want to make sure your grip or your club face is matching the position at the top and you have a neutral grip, and I'll explain to you later if you want a weak and strong grip. But all you're going to do is this. Get a card. Put it right here. Just when you get to the top of your swing, all you want to make sure is that card is nice and flat. If it's cupped too much or it bends, you're going to see the credit card bending too much. Oops. There you go. If it bends too much, that means the club face is open. If you don't feel it bend at all, it's going to get too shut. So, real simple drill. Put it in there. Take a swing back. Make sure your wrist is flat at the top. And that gives you a square, maybe slightly closed club face, which is good for you slicers anyway. When putting on no fast green. Always worry about going 10 feet past the hole. Well, John, I will tell you that if you're struggling with your speed control, I would definitely work on putts of longer distances. So I would work on 15, 20 footers, because the only way you're going to get used to that speed and being confident is just by putting and getting used to it. So use that drill where you put the stick behind the ball and you putt it where you don't hit that stick. It's an expired card, Amanda. I'm sorry. Let's see. All right, cool. So I think we've done enough today. I really appreciate everybody coming to this. I hope you enjoyed it. Give you a couple simple tips, to work on your swing, your putting, your chip. Veterans out there, if you need a lesson, no charge for you guys. Give me a call, shoot me an email, send me your swing, FaceTime, whatever you like. And I'll be more than welcome to help you out with your golf game. And just a reminder, PGA Hope Hangouts Sunday at 7:30. I'm going to try to be there as much as I can. It's a great time, and I can't wait to see the virtual backgrounds this week, because it's going to be a blast. But thanks again. Everybody be safe, be happy, be healthy, and I will talk to you all soon.